Hi, I'm Joanne Mirko, a museum educator at Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art, and this is Bridging the Gap, a series of digital art engagements. In this 5-part video series, we will be looking at Valley of the Catawissa in Autumn by Thomas Moran. It will be helpful to have paper and something to write with to respond to the prompt in the video. Please pause the video to collect what you need. Before we get started discussing this work of art, let's take a few moments to look closely at it. Start by letting your eyes wander around the work of art, taking notice of some of the details, such as the colors the artist is using and objects you recognize in the painting. Please pause the video to give yourself a few moments to look. This video is the second-part continuation of the second step of a 5-part video series where we are exploring Thomas Moran's Valley of the Catawissa by using Edmund Feldman's 4-step art critique. As you recall in the previous video, we covered the elements of art, which are line, color, texture, form, shape, and space. They serve as our virtual toolkit in this intense second step called Analyze. This is the second video where we are going to focus on the principles of design. Put on your thinking caps and be sure to have your paper and writing instrument of choice to write down your observations. Let's get started. Step 2, Analyze. As in the previous video, we are still analyzing how Moran composes painting. We covered the elements of art, aka our virtual tools. Let's go over our virtual building blocks. They are called the principles of design. They are contrast, emphasis, rhythm, pattern, movement, balance, unity, proportion, and variety. Some of these terms you may have not heard before, so I'll go over them briefly and I'll ask some questions and how they may apply to Moran's painting. Remember, we use the elements of art to create our building blocks, the principles of design. Contrast. Contrast is when different elements are used together to show their differences. It's apparent to say Moran has used this in using shadows and highlights. How else do you think Moran has used contrast in this artwork? Contrast doesn't always apply to color. Let's compare the sizes of the different objects, such as the trees and the mountains. Emphasis. Emphasis is creating a focal point. Where does your eye eventually land on this artwork? Emphasis is also where the artist wants to tell you something. What is drawing your eye to that part of the painting? Rhythm. Rhythm is a visual movement in creating a direction to lead the eye. What is the path your eye takes? Pattern. Pattern is a repetition of an element of art. For example, you will notice that the shapes of the treetops on the foothills are repeated, as well as the outlines of the hills and mountains. Can you see any other patterns? I bet you can. Movement. Movement is how the eye moves along the artwork. Movement is very dependent on rhythm. For example, Moran starts with a reddish-orange color, which is a warm color, and pushes it up through the painting by making it cooler until it reaches the sky, which is blue. Which other elements are taking you to a focal point? Balance. Balance is just what you think it is. It could be symmetrical or asymmetrical. In what way does Moran use balance? Unity. Unity and harmony are how the elements of art work together to give an overall sense of completeness. Try to imagine removing an element of art, such as patterning of the puffy clouds. Will the painting still feel finished? Proportion. Proportion is the size relationship of elements to each other. Try to unpack this by dissecting the painting in different segments, such as the foreground, the middle ground, and background. For example, Moran uses the relative large size of the hills and gradually diminishes the size, leading your eye to the mountain range in the background, which in comparison is smaller. Variety. Variety is combining different elements to create interest. Does Moran use a variety of colors, lines, and shapes to achieve this? And how? Be sure to take your time to explore each of the principles and write down what you see. In our next video, we'll go over the third step of the art critique called interpret. See you next time. Thank you for watching. This has been Bridging the Gap from Crystal Bridges.